Welcome, welcome. It's April 23rd. It's Thursday and it's 6 o'clock. Let's get some Coreburn done. Maybe not. Hello there. Welcome. It's Thursday, April 23rd. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for Coreburn with me. So I'm going to post up here our workout for today. Don't be worried if you don't know what any of that looks like. We'll go through it together in two halves. Today, I encourage you all to think about as you are moving in the quality of your movement and the quality of your muscle engagement. It's not good enough anymore since you've been with me for at least 2 workouts now. It's no longer good enough for me that you are here and you are not paying attention to the way that you move. Because we are kind of away from a lot of people who may otherwise give us cues, suggestions, or advice. We don't have that. So here's your reminder. Please understand how to move. If you don't understand, ask a question. I'll follow up in those comments later. And of course, if you don't feel good through a certain set, take a break, reevaluate what you're doing so you can get the most out of your training. That is the most important thing. That's what coaches are good for. That's what people with more experience are good for. But at the end of the day, you are doing the work, so don't waste any of it. So that soapbox is done. Let's get on to the workout. Yeah. As always, we have our pelvic tilt to start. 5-second hold, 5 times. I'll demo that in a second. In the middle, we're going to do an isometric ab contraction. All we're doing instead of tilting is squeezing tight. That's all what we're doing there. And in between, we'll demo some of these moves for you. In the first half, we have 20 push-throughs. It's just a modified crunch. If you're more comfortable with a crunch, you're welcome to do that. 12 left side and right side knee to elbow plank. So we're going to hold plank and we're going to stabilize on those 3 points as the other leg moves. And then we're going to alternate. So 12 on each side. We're going to go into 20 left and then right side crunches. So this is a pretty static movement. Make sure you are contracting well and getting the right line for hitting those obliques. After that, we're going to go into some flutter kicks. So on our back with good pelvic tilt engagement, or at least core engagement. Don't tuck under. That's my encouragement for you. Please avoid sticking your hands under there. And we're going to move our feet off the ground, up 2, 3, 4 inches, and then coming right back to a hover over the floor. 12 lemon squeezers. So lemon squeezer is, there's an upper body component. You're going to bring your hands around your knees as opposed to just bringing your knees into your chest. I want you to focus on moving slowly and creating a nice tight contraction when you bring it in, bring your knees into your chest, and also when you bring your arms around. I want you to squeeze your biceps, squeeze your fists around without actually touching. I just want you to create really good tension as you finish that end range of the movement. We're going to go into 8 windshield wipers. So full range, left to right, 1, 2, yeah, to 8, and then that's halfway. We're going to take a break to get you some water, maybe to bring that heart rate down if it's elevated, just to kind of recover a tiny little bit. And we'll demo the next half, and then we'll finish out. Hopefully, I will get there in less than 35 minutes. So if you have water nearby, you are ready to go. No other equipment necessary. If you choose, you can hold a weight to make it more challenging. You can use a resistance band if you know what to do. I won't go through that right now, but maybe in a future live, I will be able to show you what to do there. And of course, if you do have questions anytime, post those questions. I'll get back to them when I can, at the end or in the middle, if I have a moment. But I will answer those questions for you. And of course, if you enjoyed working out or a previous video, please like that video so we know to keep bringing that content for you. All right, let's get started. Get a quick swig of water. Oh, and I almost forgot, if you have a fan, please work out with a fan nearby to circulate some air. As we increase our body temperature, sometimes the air around us gets a little stale. We want to move the air around. Normally, there is more circulation, but take that into account for you. Water swig. As you know, today we are doing counts, not intervals. But if you prefer interval, 45 on, 15 off, 50 on, 15 off, maybe 1 minute interval, find a rest to make that 60-second break. But today I'm going to go through counts because I want to focus on nice, slow movements, and I want to work to a goal. So if you're ready, take your positions. Pink socks today, hashtag pink socks. So our first movement is these pelvic tilts. So on your backs, nice engaged core, low back is flat. If you watch the hip bone right here, we are going to tilt down. So you may see a little clearing here, and that's what I want to create. I want you to use that muscular system. Instead of having to pad under, I want you to activate here. The more you can build that, the more stronger, or you'll be stronger for it. So 5-second hold, 5 times. Let's get going. So holding, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Take a deep breath. You're going to do that again. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Release. We're going to do that 3 more times. Now would be a great time. Engage. If you had music, play it. It's quiet here, so you can hear me, but I know I am well motivated with a good playlist. So if you have a good playlist, please share that in the comments as well. For working out, this is 4. Tight. Breathe. And release. Make sure you feel that your low back touches down. We have 1 more. Engage downwards. Feel that lumbar spine, that low back, engage down. Breathe. Find a way to do both. They are very important for you to get the most out of core training so that you can move in throughout your day with better facility. You just move better. So that's 5 seconds, 5 times, pelvic tilts. We're going to go into push throughs. You're going to stay on your back. And so from here, your push through is just this crunch, right? But I want you to put your hands on the ground, and I want you to reach for the center of your foot. Both sides move together. Both hands on the floor. I'm just going to show you that this hand's moving, okay? Don't do this, put it down. Here we go. 20 of these. I'm going to start with a relaxed neck. My eyes are pointing to the ceiling, and I'm going to keep my eyes fixed on something up there. If there's a spot, if there's a piece of dust, focus right on that thing and crunch. Notice how my upper body and my neck stay relatively in plane as I move through, okay? And I'm controlling every contraction all the way up, all the way back down. I'm not just plopping. At no point in my workouts or anybody else's workouts should you plop. As much as possible, control your way down. If you're shaking, that's not a bad thing. It means you're working. It means those muscles are getting something out of it. Don't forget to breathe. I think that's 20. I hope I counted properly. From there, left and right, knee to elbow plank. So you're going to go into your plank. I'm going to go onto my elbows. It's going to be easier for me to do elbows versus a high plank. So high plank versus low plank. Wrists underneath your shoulder. See how if I point a line from my shoulder, my palm is too far out in front of me. So I'm going to bring that right underneath. And that's a little bit better. Actually, a lot better. And that allows my hips to go over my knees better as well. So from here, knee to elbow plank. Okay? So what we're going to do is come up into plank. Try to keep that back flat. I want you to bring that knee directly in. Okay? Not outside, not underneath. I want you to come with your knee straight forward and try to touch your elbow if you can. If you cannot, that's okay. I want you to alternate sides. Do your set of 12. Here, a pelvic tilt is going to be really valuable so that you can maintain that tension. You can see that I can't reach all the way through and my hips have to come up a little bit more. I need to pay a little bit more attention to that. But also, I've lost some of my flexibility. So I am trying to reach for them, doing my best, just like you are doing your best wherever you're watching from today. I want you to pay attention to your shoulders, okay? Keep moving. I want you to pay attention to how much tension you are holding. I don't want you to have a passive, just letting your shoulders collapse inward, whatever. No, it's not whatever. I want you to hold that contraction in between your shoulder blades and through your shoulders. If you're tired, just take a break when you need to, okay? Use good form, practice good form. Even if that means you have to take a broken set, that's not a problem. You're going to build it better and you will be stronger in the long run for it, okay? Finishing up my 12. We're going to move into side crunches. So these are my active rest. I'm going to stack my shoulders. Shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip, knee over knee, ankle over ankle as best as I can. And then my arm's going to go out. I'm going to relax my head. Our side crunch is focusing on our oblique. Essentially, it's this movement. If you can add that upper body component, the contraction is in your oblique. Squeeze it down, nice and tight. We're going to do 20 on each side. This is going to take some time. Get into it. Breathe. If you need to adjust, I've said it before, I will continue to say it, adjust the rep. If you know what you're doing, you can make it harder. Add more reps. Add a resistance band. Create tension somewhere else in the system. That's one way to go upwards. But if you need to make it easier, start here or just start with your upper body. If I bring my hands up when I come down, it's straight line. I don't want to overwork my hip flexor. I want to work my oblique. I want you to work that oblique. Breathing is key. Switching sides. We're going to do 20 of those side crunches again. So stacking those hips, stacking those shoulders, let's do 20. Show you if you don't do the legs nice and tight in there, okay? Notice I'm not bringing my body open. That's not the intention. As long as you understand your intention, that's fine. I think Coach Katie Fitness and I were talking about this. There's no wrong way to do an exercise as long as you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. The more you understand what you're doing, the more you feel like you're in control. And at the end of our day, our bodies are where we exert our effort in the world. So take the opportunity to have a strong mind about what you do for your body. From there, we're going to go into 20 left-right flutter count. So that's a 2-count flutter for 20. I need water. Let's take some water. All right, flutter kick. So pelvic tilt, legs go out. I'm going to keep my head nice and neutral. Get my heart rate down a couple beats here. So we're going to start hovered. So that's on the floor, that's hovered. And I'm going to pelvic tilt so that my back does not arch. Fight that arch. If you need to set your position, start with a bent knee and then extend the other one to set your position. Hold that position and extend. Don't put it down, just start in the hover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Small. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If you need to make that a little bit more challenging, you can make wider flutters and increase the pace there. So you have to move a larger distance or slower, larger and slower. That's a way to make the adjustment there. From there, we're going to go into lemon squeezers. Focus on slow and very tight at the top of the motion. So we're going to do 12 of these. If you were with me last week, we did cocoon. So cocoon is just this, but a lemon squeezer adds this. So your shoulders want to clear. And as I said in the intro, I want you to squeeze tight with your upper body. Don't touch, just create tension. So you're going to go out, don't touch the floor, barely graze with your calves, bring your knees in, tight, squeeze here, tight, extend outwards. That's why the count for this is only 12, because that's an exhausting movement pattern. So up we go, in, tight, extend out, in, tight, tension, up here, okay? So you may have done this differently. I'm just changing the cue for you, for me, to get a little bit more out of a traditional pattern that we may have seen before. That's what I mean by traditional. You don't have to do things the way you were taught if you can get more out of it a different way without sacrificing something in the long run or in the present even. Nine, 10. I lost my pelvic tilt, so I'm going to take this moment to fix that pelvic tilt. I'm going to come back into the movement, being mindful about that low back. Last one, and I'm open, okay? So the last thing is windshield wiper. I'm pretty sure you've seen this. If you've worked out on any of my days at Rockville, you've definitely seen this at some point. We're going to start with our legs up as high as possible and as straight as possible. Notice here, my hamstrings are tight, so my knees stay bent. Our goal is to keep as good of a straight line as possible and trying to keep this down, these hips down. I'm doing my best. I hope you can do better than me. Otherwise, we're all works in progress. Let's just keep putting our effort in, right? So we're going to go side to side. If you notice, though, from this side view position, even though my knees are bent, when I go over, my feet don't extend outwards. I'm trying to keep the same posture or position through the range of motion. So some of you may ask, well, do I go all the way? Where do I stop? You stop when you feel tension at its greatest. When you come down, you lose tension. So when you touch down, you lose what our goal by working. My upper body stabilizes. My hands are on the ground in the same spot. If it helps, imagine there's a wall or your butt and your feet are on the wall in front of you here. You are trying to stay against that wall without putting any extra pressure into that wall. So this movement works the best when you are controlling for the movement. If you go too fast, it's inertia and it's easy. That's not why you're here. If you find that movement too difficult, don't go as far over, okay? If your movement pattern compared to me was shorter than like this distance, so stop halfway. For you, what does your body tell you that it can use for tension? You should use that information to your advantage. That's how you will improve what you're doing, right? Let's collect those data points for our growth. So that's our windshield wiper, and that brings us into isometric ab. So that's our halfway point. Grab some water, give yourself a pat on the back, clap for you. We're halfway through. A little water break. So, halfway through, heel touch. Isometric abdominal contraction. Heel touches, side plank, or hip dips. I'll show both. We're gonna do some swimmers. That's face down, and our feet will flutter. You can flutter your arms. There's a little focus on a small range of motion instead of trying to do these big flaps with our body. I'll show that to you in a second. We're gonna do some bicycles. We're gonna do an upper body focused anti-rotation movement called thread the needle or thread needle. We're gonna do outside elbow planks this time, just to create a little variation of which muscles are firing there. And then we're gonna finish with some eccentric control, with an E, quadricep, quad, kneecap, or quadruped, kneecap squares. So we're gonna trace some squares with our knee, and you'll see that in just a moment. Get your breath. You're doing good so far. Halfway through, stay with me. So, isometric abdominal contraction. I forgot what to do. I forgot where I was. Let's go back into hook lying position. So on our back here. All right, 5 second, 5 reps. Here we go. All you're doing instead of rotating down is you're just creating tension. This almost feels like you're lifting your low back and hips off the floor, but only because everything's getting tighter. Everything's getting tighter. So we go 5 second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. I use this to remind us contract here. I use this to remind us that we should be creating tension through our core as we move. As we move, we should be able to breathe. Our diaphragm is separate from our abdominal muscles. Go tight here. And we should be able to breathe through our exercises. When our body doesn't get oxygen, we cannot perform to our as well as we can. We can't perform as well as we can. Release. 2 more. Tension on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. release. Last one. So this pelvic tilt, please engage now. Our pelvic tilt and these isometric ab contractions, these are useful as we do those other things. The hard part is knowing when to do which. And I try to give you that cue when I remember to, or when I find it's really important. But one or the other is useful almost at any given time, or any given movement pattern. Release. Use that to your advantage. Again, more information about your body allows you to do more, allows you to be more fit and perform the tasks for training that allows you to live a more comfortable, a more confident body life, right? So from there, we're going to go into heel touches and then side planks. So heel touch, we're going to stay in hook lying. I need to sit up and take a breath. So hook lying, and we are going to reach with a side bend as opposed to together, like those push-throughs. Now we're going to side bend and touch the side. So you'll see, I'll hold my position here and you'll see how I'm changing, right? If I go diagonal, maybe it's more obvious. So what did I say about these? I think I said 20. I said 20 heel touches. So from here, I'm going to reach, side bend, and then neutral, side bend to the other side. This is controlled. You're pivoting through your belly button, down below. Reach, reach. I want you to bend as far as you can control, okay? I keep showing my head up so I can speak to the screen, but I want you to stay with a neutral neck, and you will feel the difference when you're not bringing that head forward, that chin tuck. That being said, it does create a little bit of extra tension in your core, and it's sometimes appropriate. Here, I don't find it appropriate, but to each their own. As long as you don't get neck pain, do what you got to do, okay? So if they did 4, let's do 20 on each side. 6, 7, or 5, 7. I lost count. Do you ever lose count? I'm always breathing to the same side. That may not work for you. In fact, that might be tiring. If you come from a swimming background, I think I learned, I'm not from a swimming background, I think I learned every third stroke is when I should breathe so I can alternate sides. But I'm not a swimmer. Don't roast me in the comments, or don't think less of me. Keep working, keep working. Side bend, get in there. Notice I'm also not bending one side to accommodate the other. I'm keeping my shoulders fixed. I'm keeping my shoulders fixed to reach down. Last 2 for me, because I lost count. And that's that. We're going to go to side planks with a hip dip. So a side plank is the foundation for the hip dip. The side plank puts us, this is my right side, the side plank puts us in a position to create tension through our sides. If you like to stack your ankles, go ahead and do so. You can offset, maybe this is easier to show. You can offset your feet as long as you try to keep them close. You keep tension here. And what tends to happen is when we offset, our butt tends to sag one way or the other. I want you to squeeze forward like a pelvic tilt. So from here, pelvic tilt forward. So that puts more weight into the elbow through the shoulder. Make sure you have good alignment in that shoulder. I'm going to stack chest forward, hips forward. So side plank, 30 seconds if you can, maybe longer. What I'm going to show you is the hip dip. So if you need something a little bit more challenging, watch this. So nice tall side plank. Make sure you're in a good position for your wrists. And then from here, you're going to let your hip drop, but don't sag your butt backwards. Keep your hips forward. So that's more challenging for the whole system, including that shoulder. If you can tolerate it, then definitely go for it. If you start out on that hip dip and you just get too tired, that's okay. Finish with a side plank. Maybe you recover with 5 seconds of side plank. You come back up. Ugh. You come back up into that side plank for the hip dip. There you go. You are building into more. It's like a run walk for long distance running training. Run walk, hip dip, side plank, alternates. Those are good for you. For the last 10 seconds here, I just want to focus on one more thing. Notice the alignment from my shoulder all the way down to my foot. Pretty straight, not sagged intentionally. Your intention, what I want you to be intentional about, is keeping that hip nice and tall. Up, like that. Hips forward, straight line. Okay? We're going to switch to the other side. If you're still with me, good job. Side plank. I'm just going to hold plank here. And for what it's worth, from that high side plank, you can still hip dip. It's just a shorter range of motion, but you can use that to build into a high side plank, a high hip dip. Both are still good for the core, as long as you don't forget to engage and keep good tension through that body. You need it in your shoulder, you need it in your belly, and you need it in your hips, all the way down your toes. Yeah? Get those breaths in. I made myself a little bit out of breath. So I bring my hand up to slow my thinking down, to control my breathing a little bit more. If you're in side plank, make sure you pay attention. Do I feel like I'm getting tired? Is it starting to go down closer to the floor? Bring it up. Bring it up. Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. No plopping. No plopping. If you plopped, work on that. We're going to go down into face down position. We're going to do some swimmers. So this is the new thing I'm adding for you today. So a swimmer, you can, if you have something underneath, at the gym in Rockville, I usually use the foam corners or edges to my advantage. I want a nice alignment here. So this is how high you should be off the ground. If you are on the floor, flat, if you have a surface where your ankles can hang or your toes can hang off, use that to your advantage. So what are we doing? So swimmers, so it's up and down. Point your toes, up and down, very small. So this is from the hips. I know that's not how you're really supposed to swim. I think you're just supposed to like kick your ankles a little bit more. But we need to use our hips here to engage. So we're going to do that with our legs. 20 count on each side. I think I wrote 20. I did write 20. 20 on each side. And then if you need more tension, you need a little bit more challenge, create tension still. I want you to put your arms out in front of you, 3 inches, 4 inches, just the same height, so opposite sides. You're going to want to make sure, because in this position, we're kind of creating that canoe, that U shape. That U shape. We don't want to overload that low back. So what I want you to do here is squeeze your hips forward as you do this movement. And it's very small. Please do not go higher. This is one of those exercises where it could aggravate some low back tension, maybe a new injury. So start small, really small. And when I say small, like Whatever you think is small, do half of that, so smaller still, until you're sure that that's not going to flare you up. So I'm barely moving, like 3 inches, 4 inches maybe. I don't do this a lot. I was supposed to start swimming in February because I'm working on some triathlon accomplishments, but oh well, we'll get back to it. This is as much as I got, right? For now. Keep that core tension here. Keep those hips engaged down into the floor. What you'll notice if you do, or you are able to keep nice, tight core tension, you'll minimize that rotation from the hips. You'll be able to hold that position on both ends of limb movement. That means you're doing a better job of controlling. That's what we're looking for always when we're moving our arms and legs. So we're going to flip over and we're going to do bicycles. Sometimes I call these sprinter crunches. So on your back, let's go flat. So bicycle, our goal is start with our feet off the floor, pelvic tilt so that there's no arch here. And even if you don't have to pelvic tilt, just minimize that arch as best you can, because we are going to move our legs like this, and we are going to try to reach with our elbows to touch opposite sides. Don't just blow through these by bringing your elbows really fast. I want you to focus on control. So if 20 on each side is too many repetitions, dial it back. Do it in sets of 5. Do it in sets of 6. Quality of movement, quality of control. I want you to focus on that today. That means in the next workout, or 3 workouts from now, or 6 months from now, you will be better at these. You will create a better foundation for stability. And at the end of the day, that's what we need. Quality, more quality. So don't put your hands underneath your head. I want you to touch the side of your head. If you don't need to touch, that's even better. But it gives us a solid landmark for where to move through. And we're just going to do these bicycles. So I'm trying to bring my heel back, hovering. Same. And I'm trying to create tension by bringing that knee up, creating a tension here. And then I'm twisting at the top of my body. So if you were missing twists today, here's where you get your twists. As best as you can. When we get back to doing these in person, I will be able to tell if you say, hey, I've been working on these, I'll know. And you'll know, not because they look better, but because you're moving better. You feel more control. You get more tension when you need to. I'm out of breath because I'm talking and I'm doing the thing at the same time. But we know, and your effort reflects your improvement. And that's what I'm looking for. I want you to be better. I want you to enjoy your quality of life. Control. So that tires my neck out a whole lot. So if you see me taking a break, it's because I need one. And so you should not ever hesitate to take a break. Just don't take too long of a break. Swing back in as soon as you can. Let's finish these out. We're running a little long. But I miss teaching my usual Coreburn, and I run those. So 3 more movements. Thread the needle, plank, outside elbow, and I'll show you those quadruped kneecap squares. So head on, quadruped. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. All fours. There we go. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And so what we're going to do here is, as best as we can, keep those shoulders square. And I want you to bring that shoulder underneath, right? So half of my body hasn't moved. I'm just trying to bring in that before you come under with this side. So bring it under and then open up. So we're trying to create square to that perpendicular to that previous position. So under and up. Really fire that core, bringing stability for the shoulder as we open up. If it feels weak, we need to do a little bit more core stability when our shoulders are moving. Shout out to the coach, helped me PT my way through some shoulder injuries earlier in the year. We talked a lot about bringing stability for our shoulder from our core. So it turns out I wasn't firing my core enough while I was climbing. And I think it led to a little bit of shoulder issues because my shoulder was working too hard every time I pulled. Slow it down if you need to. I need to take it down a quick notch. We're going to finish in 3 minutes. Sorry, we're at 41. Trying to get that last few. Good range of motion. 2 more because it counts for 10. And then switch sides. In the interest of time, you should do those 10, but I'm going to move on to these outside elbow planks. Just pay attention to what I'm doing and saying as you move through your opposite side. Try to keep those hips square as you bring it through, right? Outside elbow planks. So we're going to go in, again, either low plank or high plank. That's okay with me. What do you need? Getting closer. So you're going to go into your plank outside. Okay, so this is a little different than bringing it in. We have to engage a little bit more of that outside hip, that hip. Up and opposite sides. These are slightly different. Make sure you're breathing. And the count for this was 12, 5, 6, 7. I'll show you in low plank. Low plank over here. 8, 9, 10. Bring that hip down a tiny bit. That worked me out. Up. 11, 12. That's 12. That's outside elbow knee planks, as opposed to the ones bringing them straight into you. And the last thing is quadruped kneecap squares. So in quadruped, I want you to tuck your toes underneath. If you can, create a little bit extra tension in our posterior chain, which will support all of the musculature into the hip. So if you can see, I'm going to have to do this one. If you can see, so what I'm going to do is clear it off the ground, just one finger width, a finger, yeah. So up, over, down, square. So if you've done conductors with me, or those leg whips, or the square, we're doing the same thing, but I want you to focus on a 4 by 4 inch square. So each side is 4 inches, roughly. I want you to focus on that core tension as you trace that square, as you trace that little square. Okay? If I wish I had a laser attached to my knee right now, because lasers are cool, why not? You would be able to see on the floor that I'm tracing over. But while I'm doing that, I feel it in my hip. I feel my hip creating tension, or I'm creating tension at the hip, and I want to support as I do those little squares. Sometimes if you start to move too quickly, they become circles, and that's okay as long as you're intentionally doing circles. If you're rushing through the movement, then you are taking something away from the little focus of that square. And my intention is to create more focus about what you're doing. So as long as you're okay with what you're doing, you understand that that's happening, then continue on. But if you don't notice, you are starting to make circles, pay attention. So you'll do clockwise, counterclockwise, do the other side, but you should end up doing 4 sets of these for 5. 3, 4, 5, and then back the other way. So we want to do clockwise, well, for the video, I think clockwise, counterclockwise on both sides, wax on, wax off both arms, right? At the knee. That's it. 46 minutes on the clock. That's the workout. I'll hang out for a few minutes, see if I can answer some questions. A little more FaceTime with you. But as long as you don't need anything else from me today, you're done. Get some water, tap yourself on the shoulder, enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks again. I'll be here Thursday next week again. Take an opportunity to do a couple classes a week. If you need some guidance with us, take the yoga. They love you bringing those numbers up. We miss every single one of you watching along. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching a replay. Thanks for your being part of this community. Okay? Stay safe, stay healthy, keep moving with intention. See ya. Wave, wave, wave. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Like that, like that, like that. What I didn't mention was also, you should have a towel. I don't have a towel. I need a towel. It's gross. Circular fan. Mine's there for my bike when I Zwift, because I don't like riding solo. So I ride online with my friends in the internets, like working out with all of you on this internets. All right, folks, I'll make room for the next one. Pink socks, bro. Pink socks. See you next time, everybody.